So in getting ready to sing that for this weekend, all of a sudden, it prompted another song to my mind, which was an old little hymn that we used to also sing in this church, a lot of times as a closing hymn on Sunday mornings. And it went like this. I'm just going to sing a little bit of it. If you know it, just jump right in there. God will make a way when there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. He will be my guide. Hold me closely to his side. With love and strength for each new day, God will make a way. God will make a way. So that just popped in my head in the last day or two as I was getting ready to sing Waymaker this morning. And then I got ready this morning, and I walked in the bathroom, and I turned around and looked in the mirror, which I don't do very often because I try not to. But I looked at the shirt that I had chosen, which says, "There was no way, but God made a way." And I just got this for Christmas, and I've only worn it once or twice since then. And I was like, that was a God thing. You know, we all have God moments. And that was a God moment that I've been practicing Waymaker. The other little hymn popped in my head. And this is what I picked out of my closet this morning. So I just want you to be open to the God moments that happen in your lives and my life and each other's lives, and be aware of them because God is our Waymaker. So let's sing this together.
I worship you, yeah. I worship
So if we truly believe that God is our waymaker and makes all things happen, we should be able to give him our problems and not think about them anymore. Once again, I give him, I take him back, I give him, I take him back. But there are some problems that we just can't take care of, and we have to give them to God. So let's sing about that now. There's just some problems only God can fix. There'll be some moments that just don't make sense. I've seen it happen time and time again. There's just some problems only God can fix. There's just some battles flesh and blood can't win. There'll be some moments that just don't make sense. I can't see it now, but I'm still convinced that there's just some problems only God can fix. Not by power, not by might, but by the Spirit of the living God. Not my battle, not my fight, but by the Spirit of the living God. I've seen a breakthrough that I can't explain. I found a healing hidden in my pain. I know a dead man that once walked the grave. I've seen some breakthroughs and I will again. Not by power, not by might, but by the Spirit of the living God. Not my battle, not my fight, by the Spirit of the living God. By the Spirit of the living God. My fortress, my refuge, still a strong tower, still a strong tower. My helper, defender, still a strong tower, still a strong tower. Oh, someone let the people know anything is possible. No weapon will prosper, still a strong tower, still a strong tower. My fortress, my refuge, still a strong tower, still a strong tower. My help, defender, still a strong tower, still a strong tower. Oh, someone let the devil know, tell him that he's gotta go. No weapon will prosper, still a strong tower, still a strong tower.
For the name of the Lord, yes, the name of the Lord
is still a strong tower, still a strong tower.
not
By power, not by
Come on, the last verse, sing it. Come on,
might,
sing it.
but by the Spirit of the living God. Not my battle, not my fight, but by the Spirit of the living God. You can have a seat.
Before Connie comes on up here, I want you to know that I just feel so blessed to have her in our lives. And, you know, we got this little, she's not only just has a smile on her face the whole time, but if any of you got a little encouraging text from her, there's always some encouragement that Connie will share. So I'm really excited about you being able to share, Connie.
You know, I don't think I'm here because I think it's a miracle that I'm here. And I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you.
Do you want me to
put that out
put
of
it?
my way?
Yes, sure thing,
I'll just
lady.
do that. I'm sorry, it was distracting me.
I told him I thought you wanted.
There we go. I'm glad to see a lot of old friends here, and I'm glad to see some new faces too. I've been a member here since, I think, 1998 or something like that. I've lost track. And, you know, I'd like to just tell you my story. And it's nothing spectacular, but it's my life. And what the spectacular part is, though, is that God has seen me through all these things. And I'm able to shine through adversity because of him. I was born 3 months premature. I had cerebral palsy at birth, and I weighed 2 pounds and 12 ounces. And that was 70 years ago, okay, a long time ago. And back then, they didn't have all the health things to work with preemies. In fact, I ended up being in an incubator at Good Sam Hospital for 4 months and finally got to come home on Thanksgiving. So that was a special time for my parents. And I always kind of thought of myself in a way as a little miracle baby. And my mom would say that to me too sometimes. And I would wonder, well, why would God help me pull through that? You know, and I would question, you know, why me? Why am I here? You know, I couldn't have been, you know, I could have been not here. So I've had many surgeries. I've got all kinds of scars all over my body, if you want to see them, from all the different things that were done to me, and some that I probably don't even recall or were not told about. But I made it through all those things too, and spent the early years of my childhood wearing all kinds of braces in my legs and so forth. And I remember I'd lay in bed at night because I had braces that would be on my legs and keeping my feet up like this, and they really hurt. And it was a position that my body didn't want to be in. And I would cry and I'd say, Mom, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to go through all this? You know, and she would never really say too much. My mom was very reserved. In fact, my parents, neither one ever talked about my disability or what was wrong or what, you know, it was never even part of the conversation. In fact, they would do the opposite. They would talk about all the things that I can do and all the things I'm going to do. And that kind of mentality was the way I started. You know, I didn't look back and ask why me as much. There were times I did, but not as much, because they taught me to be an independent thinker, you know, and try to think of how I could get along out there in the world without them always being by my side too. So I wasn't overprotected at all. And I was urged to really think for myself. So in school, I say a lot, I'm sorry. In school, I would, you know, I couldn't do all the physical things. So my thought there was, well, then I'll do the mental things, because that's where I had something to work with. Thank God for that. And because some babies with CP don't have that. And so I used that thought to keep myself going, and I ended up being a pretty good student because of it. And I could talk, as you can see, and I could get around. But, physically, from here down, I was kind of a wreck. And I would have to use special aids, to get me around. And I remember distinctly just feeling like I wasn't one of the kids, the regular kids, because of that. And that was something I had to kind of come to grips with. Especially when I became a teenager, that really got to be big. Because I would, I'd go to be on a team. Well, I was always the last one picked, because nobody wanted to have Connie on their team, because I couldn't do it. I was the person who sat up on the bleachers while the rest of the kids did the relay races and stuff. And that was a pretty humiliating spot to sit in. But I persevered. I didn't give up. I thought there's got to be something for me to do in this life besides relay races, So what? I could do a relay race. But, I would give myself pep talks all the time, to get through things. But I was very fortunate. I made a few really good friends at the beginning, from the time I started school, that those ladies are still in my life now. And one just lives down the road here, which is really special. And I thank God for them. We were fearless. We were a great group, and we just kind of stuck close together, and we didn't worry about what the other kids thought of us really too much, and that was a good thing for me. One of those special friends asked me to church when I was pretty young, and probably about 7 or 8 years old. And she just seemed to have something about her that I didn't have. She just had just a real assurance about herself, and I don't know, it was really hard to put into words, but it was very attractive to me. So I went to church with her because, I kind of wanted that. Whatever it was she had, I wanted that. And, after different, I don't know, it was a couple of years maybe, I did accept Christ when I was 10 years old, and which is the best thing that ever happened to me. And, it was funny because, and I'm going to reference some verses and some songs as I go along that were important to me. This little light of mine was big. We sang it practically every week in Sunday school. And it showed me, we do have a light, and we do have a reason to be here, that we can shine out. And let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, don't let Satan blow it out. And so I kind of hung on to those kinds of things, and they made good sense to me. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? That was a big verse for me, because I remember I would feel pretty fearsome, especially going along in the halls at school and stuff. I'd feel fear, but He was my light and kind of got me through things. It's funny. Johnny even said something to me about my smile. This is terrible to say, but I'm going to admit it to you. I don't hardly ever look at myself in a full-length mirror. I just don't. And I never have, and probably never will, because I don't like what I see. I don't like the way I walk. So I look from here up. And what can I do from here up? Yes. And I just learned at a young age, I can smile. And it does make my face look better, because then my jaws don't droop. But, I can smile. And so that kind of just stuck with me, If nothing else, I can smile at people and maybe make their day a little better. And so I do smile a lot. I even got in trouble in an interview one time. The guy said, "You smile an awful lot. What do you have to be thankful for?" And so I had to tell him what I was thankful for. He didn't want to hear all that, but, but anyway. Um, so, so that did, all those things kind of helped form my character. The way my parents treated me, just my outlook, my smiling, everything. And I think God was working in me just to make me the person that I am and the person that I needed to be for the years to come, in my life. So I really felt that in my young life, too. And the other thing that I wanted to say is I don't believe in coincidences. I don't know why you're here, but I don't think it's a coincidence. I think you're here for a reason. All the things I went through and all the things that I would have never dreamed happened to me, they aren't coincidences. They are all happening for a reason. After I graduated from high school, I headed to Ball State. And I had kind of a bend for helping people at a young age. And I like to please people, and I like to help people. I like to make people feel better. So I kind of went into psychology/social work. That was my major. And I knew I was going to help people in some respect. I didn't know exactly how at the time, but I studied that. And I always felt like, even at that young age, I felt like I could be an encouragement to somebody. Somebody that's going through a rough time, or somebody that doesn't understand something, that I could give them the information for, or whatever it is, that I could be an encouragement. So that happened really early in my career. In fact, I'm still working some now, and I've been working as social work for 53 years this year. And I'm not going to quit, I don't think. We'll see. But the wonderful part of the story is the first job that I landed brought me in touch with the most wonderful young man. And his name was Rusty Reed. And I counseled him when he was going through some rough stuff in his life. And, of course, he talked about everything, and we always used to laugh because I knew everything about him, but he knew nothing about me. I said, that's a good way to keep it. But we would talk for hours and just clicked, and got along. And we became, even after he was done being my client, we were friends for probably a couple years. And after that couple years, he finally one day admitted to me his feelings for me, which were more than just a friend. Oh, take a big breath here. And it was on Valentine's Day, actually, that he told me this, which was special. And he told me that of all the things he admired about me, probably the thing that he admired the most was that he was attracted to my positive attitude about my disability. And that was like the highest compliment he could ever have given me. Because that kind of answered the why me that I had in my head way back then. Why me? Why did I have to be this way? And I think that was just so super the way God put that together. So we were married 3 months later. And talk about pulling a wedding together. And we, enjoyed lots of good times during our married life. He became a Christian right before we got married, which was wonderful. And so we had that fervor, that wanting to serve the Lord together. And we were both Sunday school teachers for years on end, and we were both youth coaches for kids. And, I see and hear from some of them on Facebook, they're 45 years old now. And I'm like, oh, my goodness, But they're grateful for what we did in their lives, and that's always so nice to hear. But I guess if I had to pick a verse or a song that was real meaningful to me back in those days, was "Thy word is a light unto my feet and a lamp into, a lamp into my feet and a light into my path." And we were going down that path. We were just living for him, and we were having a super, super good time at it. And we were good in our careers. You know, we had set up a home, and things were just really super. But we had one thing that was missing, and it really started working on me, especially, that I was childless. And we both loved children a lot. We had a few in the family, but, you know, we wanted a child of our own. And we tried for many years, and no baby that we longed for. So then we decided, well, let's go out in a different direction then. Let's do some foster care, and maybe that'll work into an adoption. That was our plan. So we did that, and we did foster care for some 3 beautiful little girls off and on, and they fell through. They never, for whatever reason, they never were in our family permanently. And that was really tough, you know, because when you get really attached to someone and then to lose them, it was really tough. And then at one point, we decided, okay, we'll try a different route. So we found a young lady, her name was Linda. And Linda met with us, and she decided she was pregnant, and she decided that she wanted us to be the parents of her baby. We're like, wow, we were just in 7th heaven, all right? And, you know, we waited and waited, and we didn't hear from her. And finally, we made a contact with someone. They said, oh, we're sorry, didn't you know? And I said, no, what? And they said, well, she decided to abort the baby. Gosh, talk about sinking down, you know? Because you get your hopes built up and then it sinks down over and over. So those years were emotional roller coaster, is what I call it. You know, the ups and downs and ups and downs. But Rusty and I hung on to each other, and we hung on to God, and we were determined that we were going to find another way. It's like when one doesn't work, try another way. And I'll never forget, I can still see him sitting at the computer, and he said, honey, I decided what we're going to do. And this was Mother's Day, 1999, okay, when he told me this. He said, we are going to go to China, and we're going to get us a little China doll of our very own. Now, this man was afraid of flying. I had never been on a plane, and here we were. I was like, oh, my. But, boy, and if you knew my husband, and some of you did, when he got his mind on something, you didn't change it, you know, no matter what you had to go through. So that's exactly what we did. And then the social worker in me came out, and we got all the paperwork done, and the home studies were done, and all those things that you had to jump through, all the hoops you had to jump through to get there. And September of 2000, we were on our way to get our beautiful daughter. We had said that we would consider a special needs child. Rusty especially was excited because the little bitty photograph of her that I have and the little paragraph that we had about her said that she had a hearing problem. And Rusty's like, all right, I got this. I have studied sign language, you know, in college. So we're like, okay, we can do this. Well, we get there, and we get her, and of course, being in China was a deal too. We've never been there. It's a deal. But it was a real experience, and I was glad we got to go. But we found out that it wasn't a hearing problem at all. that she had some mildly mentally handicapped with autism. And so we're like, whoa, okay, we can deal with this, you know. And we have, and we did. And actually, as hard as that was, because we had to feel our way, we didn't know anything about having a special needs child, you know, because you have to go through special developmental preschools and special ed and IEPs and the whole bit. You know, it's a whole different ballgame than just having a regular child. But we loved her to death, though. And those times were like the peak for us. We enjoyed our life with Faith, and we named her Faith, by the way, because it took a lot of faith to get her. So, but she's 26 years old now, and she was a delight of our life. I mean, she was everything to us, and we focused probably more attention on her than we did on ourselves, you know, and our careers kind of went by wayside. You know, you just go to work, you know, and focus on the kids. And, you know, maybe some of you are out there dealing with some of those kinds of things with your kids. It is tough. And, you know, God just kind of puts people in your place and that kind of leads you through things, and it is a good thing. You can get through that kind of stuff. The one thing that I didn't mention is that Rusty, he was a severe diabetic from the time he was 6 years old. He gave himself shots in the arm when he was 6. Can you imagine that? And he was strong, and he learned all about medical things. You know, every little thing that he could learn, he just kind of soaked it up. And he was able to take care of himself and, you know, felt pretty good for most of our early married life. But then after we got Faith, he kind of went into a real decline with his kidney functioning. And it actually got down to like 15% at one point. And he was put on a transplant list and was on the transplant list like 3 months. And we got the call on Thanksgiving. What you talk about at Thanksgiving, I mean, how thankful could you be? But he received a kidney and pancreas from a young man that had been in an automobile accident on Thanksgiving Day. And so off we were to the hospital, and it was, you know, even though it was tough, it was really a peak. I mean, you talk about a head rush, you know, when you're trying to get there. But the kidney worked perfectly for him. And he was told that, you know, his life expectancy would probably be increased by at least 10 years because of that kidney. And so that was super important when we were raising our young daughter, that he was still there with me. But see, I want to make sure I didn't skip them. But then, you know, 10 years came and went, and then almost to the day, it seemed like his kidney functioning stopped again. And he went through dialysis. We did in-home dialysis. We did dialysis in a center. But the dialysis just never really brought him back to full health like he knew. And so he was disabled, and he ended up being a super, super terrific stay-at-home dad, which was kind of neat because he and Faith got a really tight bond, and that was really special. While I went to work, tried to keep us going, you know. But we finally got to the point where the dialysis really wasn't doing what they had hoped, and he started to have cardiac issues as well. And he passed away May 18th, 2015. And I got to tell you, ladies, my whole life plummeted totally down when that happened. Because not only did I lose a man that I loved, but and been married to for 32 years, but you know, he was like strong. He was my right arm, you know, and he was the one that always knew the right things to say in all the meetings and things that we went to for faith, you know, and I just lost all that, and I remember at that point being like super low, and that's when we were going to church in the YMCA building back then. And I remember one Sunday, I told Mark Bond when he was leading the singing, you know, he was leading a new song, and it was Christ is Enough for Me, that song. I couldn't even sing it. I told him, I said, I can't sing any of the songs because they don't have any meaning for me right now. And I bawled, you know. And he held me. He had such a nice, good hug. And, you know, I remember just feeling so low. You know, I would try to pray, and like the words would just get mixed up in my head. I remember trying to read the Bible, and it just seemed like gibberish to me. I was just totally low as I have ever been in my life. And, you know, I kept saying, okay, Connie, you got to, you know, the strong person in me kept saying, Connie, you got to keep going. You got to get through this, you know. And I was like, forget this grief thing. I thought, okay, I'll focus on helping Faith with her grief. Because she went through a lot of acting out and stuff when after he passed. So I thought, okay, she became my focus. And so I was trying to help her through her things and to get her through each week at school because I'd get constant calls, you know. And so I was like, okay, Connie, you can do this. So I would go to church. I always did that. And I always had that smile on. Okay? Because that was kind of my thing. And I would just smile, and everybody say, how you doing? I'm like, I'm just fine. Yeah, right. I wasn't fine by a long shot. And, you know, it was just totally tough. It was tough being a single parent. It was tough being alone. And then from that point on, my parents were aging, and they were in a nursing home. Had to go through all that. That's a tough thing to do, too. But I did it. And then 4 months after Rusty passed, my mom died. And she had severe dementia, so, you know, towards the end, she didn't really know any of us too much. And so that took me even lower than my low. After she passed, I lost 2 sets of aunts and uncles, one to COVID. And then my mother-in-law passed the next year. And then in 2020, I lost my dad. And he was kind of my left arm. You know, Rusty was my right arm. He was my left arm. He was my big supporter of everything I was trying to do with Faith and trying to keep my home going and everything. He was so supportive of me. So what I did is I lost pretty much my whole family, 8 people in 5 years. And I can't tell you how much that took out of me, you know. My little light was not shining at all. If anything, I was maybe a flicker. You know, I wasn't dead. God still had a hold of me, but it was just like a flicker. I wasn't shining out in any respect because I was so deep into into just my sadness. And, I'm like, I don't know how to get through this. I would read all the stuff about grief. I would go to grief share groups, support groups. I did it all. And it was just like words on a page. It didn't make any sense to me. And other people's journey wasn't helping me. So I didn't know what to do. And so, but God did not give up on me. He, in fact, he worked in just the smallest little way. Isn't that wonderful when he does that? God had somebody send me a card. Jeannie Lake, I don't know, some of you know her. She had been Rusty's nurse when he was doing his transplant. So she was special to us. And she sent me a sympathy card. And I remember, of course, I'd gotten other sympathy cards, and I opened it up. And on the inside of the front cover, you know how they have little verses and stuff there sometimes. Well, on this sympathy card, let me get it here and I'll read what it said. I lost my place. There we go. It said, and this is the verse that it had, it's Jeremiah 31:13. It said, I will turn their mourning into gladness. I will give them comfort and joy instead of sorrow. And boy, that struck me. I was like, that's my verse. I am hanging on to that verse. If I don't do anything else, I'm hanging on to that verse. So I cut it out. I cut it out of the card, and I put it in a frame. And I put that little frame on my vanity where I sat and brushed my hair and stuff all the time. And every time I would sit down, I would look at that verse, and I prayed that God, please let that verse be true for me. I have got to have that verse in my life. And I just prayed it over and over. And he did it. He used that little verse to eventually just fill me. I can't really describe how that happened, but I just, things just got easier. I was able to start praying about other things. I was able to start making some sense out of the Bible again. And believe it or not, I was able to sing the songs and mean it again. Took me a while to get there, but I got there. And, I just, the song that came, this is an old song, okay? Some of you may have never even heard it. It was called The Lighthouse. I don't know if you people know this verse, but I'll just quote a little bit of it. It says, I thank God for the lighthouse. I owe my life to him. Jesus is the lighthouse from all the rocks of sin. He has shone his light around me so that I might clearly see. If it wasn't for the lighthouse, where would this ship be? And I guess if none of my life or what I'm saying here makes any sense, you get this part. Even when our light is flickering, or if it's out, or we're not shining like we should, he has his light coming out of that lighthouse looking for you. He's not going to let go of you. He's not going to lose you. I believe that with all my heart. And I just believe that he's always going to be there for us. So in the months after that, I got a little stronger. I was mowing grass and keeping house and doing all those meetings and still working. I don't know how I did all that, honestly. But I was doing pretty good for a while. And finally, my house where I lived over by Brum Woods was a beautiful house, and I loved the setting. But it had been added on to so many times, and there were so many steps going up to this room and that room. I started having a lot of pain. And just the whole bottom part of my body was starting to give out. And it is today as well. But I finally made the decision that we would move to a smaller house, something all on one level. And that was kind of a new start for Faith and I, because she had still been really, really, even though I was doing a little better, she was not. It took her a long time to grieve in her own way. And she actually got physically violent with me many times. And at that point, I finally made that decision that I had to do something to help her. I didn't know what else to do. So dear Jeff, took Faith and I up to Indianapolis to Neuropsych Hospital. And they kept her there for a week. And for me to leave her for that week, oh my goodness, that was so hard. That was my baby, you know. And but she was able to go through a lot of exams and things with the workers there, and they were able to put her on a regimen of medications that helped balance out her anxiety and depression and all those things that she was going through. And she's done pretty well since, I'll say that. And I'm just so proud of her that she was able to finally work through that grief and to get on with our lives. In fact, she's funny. She'll curl up in bed with me once in a while. She did this last night even. And she'll talk about her dad now. It's a big plus. I mean, to be able to say his name and her not going into a rage. She can say his name and talk about, she has a memory of him doing this and that and this and that, you know. And I love it, you know, because I know she's finally turned the corner. And so that's really super. So I will say that, you know, my journey's not over. Hopefully I got some years ahead of me, but I am looking forward to maybe another surgery soon. I'm trying to do what I have to do to get rid of my pain and try to remain mobile. So I appreciate your prayers on that. But I just want, in ending, I just want to say, ladies, you know, keep your light shining, even if it's just to do small things. You know, it doesn't have to, you don't have to go be some great speaker or whatever, you know. All you have to do is be a little encouragement to somebody. And that can be done in so many different ways. You know, a phone call, a text, a prayer for somebody, a card, you know, the card that turned me around. You know, you just never know the impact that you can have on people with any little act of encouragement. And I think that's how I shine my light. And I think that's how you all can shine your lights too, with the people around you. And I just thank God so much that He has brought a wonderful church family and so many great friends in my life that have filled the void that I was feeling there for so long with no family. I can never thank them enough. So just put your trust in Him and let your light shine. Thank you.